Hey everybody, welcome back to my layout. This will be a layout update for September 2018. Got a ton of stuff to show you guys, so let's jump right into it. So obviously, most exciting news is we finally, after just about 2.5 years, we've got trains running down here. Finished the main line about a week ago. And now a train can run across the whole layout. Not all the track is completely wired. I'm still working on one of the Lake Louise lines. Have to wire it up, but it was a pretty awesome day. The first time we were able to run a train around the whole layout. So just for fun, we have a little notes here under the layout on the benchwork. So we got the golden spike, which happened here at milepost 82.2, September 13th. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then a couple days later, first revenue train went through CP 112, 11, almost midnight by the time I got it all wired. So yeah, pretty exciting. We're pretty happy to have the trains finally running down here. So this was the section at Banff that I had left to do last month. So obviously finished this up. I got all the track laid in the yard there. I still have some wiring to do. I still got to do the feeders in the yard, but for the most part, both main lines are, the main line and the passing siding are both wired up, so trains can go through Banff into the loop and come back around out on the passing siding. It's kind of hard to tell from above, but there's actually 3 different sizes of microengineering rail in Banff. So we've got the main line is code 83. So that's supposed to represent the 136-pound welded rail that's in Banff, and then we've got code 70 on the passing siding here, all the way through. These are all code 70 microengineering switches, and then the Banff, the 3 yard tracks are code 55. This actually illustrates it pretty good. So 9013 here is sitting on the code 55, and passing siding code 70. Main line is code 83. I really like the look of the code 55. This is the first time that I've worked with it, and man, it looks great in yards. The rail is so fine and it looks super realistic for yard tracks. So I had another siding over in Lake Louise that I was gonna do code 70, but I'm actually gonna do it in code 55 as well, just to try to make that those old unused sidings look like stick rail, like 85 pound or so. Actually had some new rolling stock come in over the last month as well, so we'll take a look at these Rapido trains. Skyline cars came in, and they are very nice. So I got 3 of the Via Rail modern day blue cars for my Canadian train that I'm working on building a full consist of. These are the 500 series. I think I got 503, 505, and I can't remember the other one, but they're all just 500 series cars. Got the nice number plate on the side there. Really nice cars from Rapido. I think they ended up doing a new tooling for this, and they're really nice. They run really well. Haven't had any issues with them yet. So that's the Via Rail, and the other one I got was this CN. The modern day kind of, it's like a heritage car. They put it on the it's on their business train, so it's the old green and gold, and then it has a yellow CN noodle. So eventually, maybe someday, they'll come out with some of the other CN business trays cars, and I'll be able to be nice to have that train over on the CN side. Really nice car though. It's got kind of a whiter grayish type roof color, and the car's name is American Spirit. I think it has an IC number. Oh, it's got a CN reporting mark, 800-723. So very happy with those dome cars. Very nice product from Rapido Trains. And one other thing I noticed is they're very free rolling. I don't know if they've done something different with their wheel sets or what, but it almost takes nothing at all to pull these, which is nice, because some of the old cars could end up being quite heavy pullers. So the other stuff I had come in were these Intermountain Value Line Trinity Aluminator coal cars, and I got these in. I got the full set in the CN red end with the red noodle, and the Transico leasing which just have a yellow end. So let's take a quick look at those. Some people call these the bow tie coal hoppers because of the shape of the tub on them. I'm pretty happy with these from Intermountain. They're priced right. I think it's an old LBF tooling, and they don't have separately applied grabs or anything. It's all one piece molded, but still, I mean, for a coal train, once you weather these up and make them really dirty, it's not really going to matter, I don't think. So in that case, I think I'd rather have them be affordable. The artwork on them is nice, the printing's nice and crisp. Pretty happy with the cars that I got. I haven't ran them all yet, so I can't say how good they run, but from what I can see so far, they're pretty nice. There's a view of above, so you can see the bracing. It's the same for both cars. So that's all the new rolling stock I got in over the last month. So we'll continue on with some of the stuff we worked on wiring wise on the layout. So first thing we'll take a look at, all the block detection is wired up and working. So let's have a quick look at that. So this is just kind of a quick high-level overview. I'm not going to get too far into the details because it'd probably be its own half-an-hour video in itself, wiring up block detection for this. The style of block detection, which is currency detecting. Basically I'm using a Digitrax product called the BDL168, which is a circuit board that can handle all the detecting, and you just need to basically do the wiring the way you want the detection sections to work. So on the CP layout, I have 12 detection sections. You can see each color represents a different block detected section. Crossovers are their own little, I call them switch islands. They're also detected. If you didn't do that, it wouldn't make sense when the train went past the signal. So yeah, crossovers are their own. The switch at Lake Louise and Banff, those switch islands have their own block detection as well. So we'll just take a quick look here at Lake Louise. This is where I located the BDL168 underneath the layout. I did that because it's sort of central to everything, to all the detection sections. And because I have quite long wire runs, I had to use Digitrax RD2s, which is a remote detector. So basically it just extends the reach of the BDL168, and you don't have to wire heavy gauge wire to all the detection sections and then to the BDL168. So if you have a RD2, you can just use 18 gauge wire, and then that goes back to the BDL168. So this drawing, I don't know if this is worth showing, but this is my pencil drawing of the wiring that I ran. So it's pretty complicated. There's a lot of wiring involved. I'd say it's similar to the old DC blocks that people used to wire, except it might even be more complicated than that because you're including signal ribbon and other stuff for the signals in the future. Before we get to that, yeah, so we're here at Lake Louise. Let's just take a quick look at how this block works on the switch island here. So for the switch islands, I gap the track with my Dremel and then fill in the gaps with styrene just so you don't get the clicking when they go over. So the switch here at Lake Louise is got its own feeder basically, which is fed through the BDL168. So the isolation gaps are here and here. So anytime a train enters, just like this one's going to enter right now, as soon as the locomotives hit the isolation gaps, they move onto this block, we'll get the light on the BDL168 because it can detect these locomotives on the switch drawing electrical current. So here's the BDL168 circuit board located underneath the layout, and we can watch that event play out in real time here. locomotives, I just reversed them, so they're approaching the switch island. And these LEDs here on the outside are the different blocks. So right now you can tell which block they're on. They're going to enter the switch island here right away. There they are. And then they're going to move off the switch island, and we should see that light go out. So there they're off the mainline block. And they're on to the switch island. And they're off the switch island. So it's pretty cool. Digitrax provides this little tester here. This just pops out. This little LED tester, and that's just so you can, just a way you can test the blocks on your own. And you can move it on to the next one, which is B, and then we can see the train has entered the next block, which is Lake Louise to divide. So super easy to work with, really easy to test. I've got all 12 blocks are working now. I'll just take the camera in by hand here, bear with me. So this is where the LocoNet ties into it, so you can actually plug in a throttle here and control with my Digitrax throttle. And once I get the JMRI Panel Pro up and running, I'll be tying my computer in here with a local buffer, and I'll be able to create my own CTC display. There's a quick view of the wiring. It's kind of tight under here. I'll see if I can get it. So I just drilled holes with my Dremel and ran the wires through and then soldered to each pin. And that's what the back side of it looks like. Not as clean, but that is all the wiring coming in from all the different blocks, so that the BDL-168 can detect when current is being drawn anywhere within these 12 blocks on the layout. I actually made a label for the front side of it. I just haven't got along to gluing it on there beside the BDL-168, but just so that I can keep straight all these different wires going in there. I did color code each block, so each block has its own color. And then I made this list so I can kind of, if I ever have problems, I'll know exactly which wire goes where and where it's coming from. So the nice thing about these BDL-168s, they have so 4 zones. You can kind of see, it doesn't really show it very well, but basically 4 zones, so you could have 4 separate boosters. So I'm basically using 2 zones on the whole thing. One, because Banff's a reverse loop, so it has to be on its own zone. So that's the bottom zone here, zone D. That's its own separate booster, and then the rest of it is the common mainline booster. So 16, you can have 16 separate detection sections. So you see I've got 4 unused because I'm only doing 12. So I could have had 4 more blocks if I wanted. So the next thing I'll be doing, now that I've got all the block detection working, I will be installing the signaling boards, which are also a Digitrax product. These are the SE8C boards, and this is going to go right here just like this. It'll get tied into the BDL-168 through the LocoNet, and then I can, like I said, hook my laptop up and get the Panel Pro running with my CTC display, and eventually start getting the signals up and running. So just real quick, show you what one of those RD2 circuits looks like. Those are the remote detectors, and they basically have 6 inputs. You put the heavy gauge wire in the bottom, and the small gauge 18 gauge that runs to the BDL-168 goes in the top. And same method, I just drilled holes through the benchwork and then soldered the wiring in, so it's pretty secure under here and safe. There's 4 of those throughout the layout. So this one's here at Banff. Each one can do 2 detection sections, so you got to be strategic about where you locate them and how you run your wiring. So in addition to laying the track at Banff, I had to get the power supply hooked up for this DB200 that I've got. This is an older Digitrax booster that's 8 amp, it's a pretty big one, and it can run as a reverse loop, so I thought that would be perfect to run Banff and everything east of Banff, including the 5-track reverse loop. So this thing is, this is all the stuff that's wired to this booster is a reversing district, and rather than buy the, I think it's like $150, the Digitrax power supply, because I mean a power supply is a power supply. There's the specifications of electricity are the same regardless of what brand you use. So I just got a computer power supply. This is a Meanwell product for like 30 bucks from Mouser Electronics. I mounted it on an old piece of IKEA desk here, and I used an old busted Apple MacBook charger as the power cord. So that goes to the plug here. I just snipped it off, stripped the wires. Cheap, doesn't cost nothing. Reuse an old broken charger, and this is the power supply for this whole side of the layout. So I am going to put a box around this. This, because you got live 120 volt screws here, so make sure the kids don't get into it and stuff. So I'm going to put, I'll have a metal box around it to protect anybody from getting 120'd under here. Nice thing too about these little computer power supplies is they've got multiple outputs. So they've got 6 outputs, so I'm also going to be able to run my tortoise switch machines off this guy as well. And because it was a computer power supply, it's made to slide, like it's the size of a hard drive type thing. So I actually kind of had to get creative about how I mounted it. But basically I drilled holes through this wood, and then I threaded screws. It's got 4 mounting screws on the back side, and I threaded those screws through it, and which it's also nice because then it's about a centimeter off the wood. So I'll include some pictures of that. So the other stuff that's going on under here, we've got the Wi-Fi, which is the new Digitrax LNW. I haven't got it working yet because I need to. It's going to be part of hooking my laptop up to the block detection, but eventually we'll be running the layout with just my smartphone. So that's going to enable that. It is tied into the LocoNet right now. I'm just not using it. And then this is the DB200 Plus running out to the different sections. There's 2 detected sections on this booster, so those are the main line and the passing siding at Banff. So this blue wire here disappears and goes over to the BDL-168 and then comes back as 18 gauge, and that feeds the rail B side of the track. So then that's how the BDL-168 is able to detect. And then the yard and the stuff you don't want detected, so I don't want the yard setting off the block detection, obviously, if somebody's in the yard. So that's got its own just separate kind of straight piped power to it, and the reverse loop tracks are all non-detected as well. Look a little closer here, you can see this circuit board. I haven't, I'm going to make this a little nicer looking, but this is just kind of testing. This is a Tam Valley Depot dual frog juicer. I was going to use it as a circuit breaker to protect this booster and the track and everything. And the booster was going to act as the reversing district, because this can be an auto reverser, this booster. But I had a problem that these Tam Valley circuit breakers are so fast, it would detect the short circuit and it would kill the power before the Digitrax booster had a chance to reverse the polarity. So, nice thing about the Tam Valley Depot stuff, all I had to do was take the jumper off of circuit breaker mode and put it on dual outputs. So now it becomes an auto reverser, and it's doing the reverser duties and acting as the circuit breaker, and this thing's just putting out straight power. So it worked out. I'm glad I didn't have to make any changes. It's nice that Tam Valley Depot has them set up like that. So every time a train goes through Banff, this auto reverser has to reverse the polarity when it comes back around, because it's a closed-ended loop. So the only other thing that is that's new as far as wiring goes, I try not to bore you too much, but since I got it, everything is all wired up and running now. Besides the few tracks I still have to put feeders to. I finished the wiring here on the DB150, which is the other booster on the layout. So added a circuit breaker here, you can see. So that's Tam Valley Depot dual frog juicer set up as a circuit breaker. That's protecting everything on the layout and this this booster. I haven't had any problems with it yet. It's running on the 2 amp setting. It has a 4 amp setting, which you can go higher if you want, but probably try to keep it as low as possible. So coming up from the booster, it goes into these DIN rail terminal blocks. This is my brother's idea actually, and I'm really happy I went with these. These are a really simple way to split and break out power. So here you have your mains coming in from the circuit breaker, and then these are jumpers. So you can put unlimited amount of jumpers, as many as you want. And this just mounts on a common 35mm DIN rail. and these are really cheap. I got these from Mouser Electronics as well. I got a whole bunch of them. I'm using them all over the layout. Anytime I have to split something, I'm using these because they work really good and they're simple. And there's a better view of it. You can see the 35mm DIN rail there. So I wired up all the feeders on the points east reverse loop here. So right now I just haven't done the control panel yet for the switches. So I just kind of tied all 5 tracks together. So they're all live right now. Eventually I'll be able to switch the power off individually of each of the tracks, so I can just power up the track that I want to bring the train out of. So I still need to weather the track on the points east reverse loop, as well as put up the edging, just like I did on the points west reverse loop here. So over here on this reverse loop, nothing has really changed, besides we've been taking out a lot of trains and kind of filling it up. So it's nice to see it kind of look like it's going to look when we get into full operation mode. But for now we're just going to keep one reverse loop full, because then at least I can work on the other one and get it all finished up. I do have, I've only got 2 tracks energized on this one. Track 1 on the inside, track 2, they're both working. I'm just waiting to get a few more frog juicers in the mail, and then I'll be able to energize the other 3 tracks as well and have this whole thing working. So just under the points west loop here, you can see the 2 tracks that I installed the frog juicers on. Just like on Banff, because this is a closed loop, you got to have reversers. So same thing, 2 Tam Valley depots. Eventually there'll be 5, 1 per track. And the reason there's 5 is because these will all be individually switched tracks, and you'll be able to shut off the ones you're not using. So that'll wrap up this layout update, guys. Like a lot of people say, once you get trains running, it gets production slows a little bit. So it is hard to find time to work on the layout when you want to run trains all the time. But on the other hand, isn't that the point of why we build these things, is to run them? So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be running lots of trains, and then we're going to, like I was talking about, keep working on the wiring, get that all finished up, and once I have the other reverse loop finished, we can take out more trains, and eventually we'll have 9 full-size 25-foot trains that are able to be lined up and ran at any time. So pretty exciting times down here. We've been really having fun. Hope you guys had a great summer. As always, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time.